Welcome back, everybody, to Breakthrough Innovation, where we uncover what it really takes to lead change, to create value, and to build what's next. I'm Preston Chandler, and with JL Heather, we lead Centered. It's a firm that helps organizations navigate complexity, spark creativity, and unlock the full potential of their teams through innovation coaching and strategy. Today's guest brings a really unique blend of technical leadership, some innovation with AI, and a real passion for building scalable, impactful technology solutions. So I'm thrilled to welcome Jayanth Kumar. He's a pioneering tech leader with a proven track record. He's worked at Amazon and Delivery and recently Turtle Street Group, where he's building GatherGov. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Jayanth has led some groundbreaking projects in logistics SaaS. He's developed patented solutions at Amazon, and he's even authored books on systems design, which is really cool. His passion for leveraging AI, cloud computing, and data-driven insights to solve real-world challenges is really, really inspiring. So, Jayanth, welcome to Breakthrough Innovation. We're happy to have you.
Thank you, Preston. Thank you for having me on your podcast. Really looking forward for the conversation.
So, Jayanth, why don't you start us off with a bit of a journey? What led you to where you are today?
Yeah, that's a very pointed question. So basically, I had a very interesting journey. So I started from India. I graduated from ID Bombay in 2010 to 2014. Then I did a work in SAP Germany. That was my first job. Moved to SAP US Palo Alto. Did courses at Stanford. Really enjoyed the space of big data, machine learning, AI, which was kind of catching up that at that point. Taking courses at Stanford helped me get more passion into it. And I moved to UCLA to do my master's in deep learning. At that point, I did my master's, came back to India, did a consulting on AI and on AI for a bunch of companies. And later, YC company gave me a head of engineering position, Good Health app. When that wrapped up around COVID, I moved to Delivery, a logistics SaaS unicorn in India, help them IPO, launch their product in multiple countries across Middle East and Asia. Amazon poached me after that into their logistics space. So I moved to Amazon, worked there for a few years, wrote a book on AWS, system design on AWS, and now I'm in deep waters building, kind of co-building a civic tech platform, Turtle Street Group. So that's my journey so far.
And that feels like a bit of a whirlwind. It's like you've gone all over the place. India, US, Germany. That's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's really a very challenging journey. And I really enjoyed being at all these places and building large scale systems and learning a lot through the process.
It's great. So now that you're at Turtle Street Group, we talked a little bit about you doing the GatherGov program. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about that and what problem are you trying to solve with Turtle Street?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. So basically, we at Turtle Street Group, we are building products for for capital markets and real estate stakeholders. And one of our first product for that is GatherGov, where we are leveraging Gen AI to listen to local government data, literally. Because in US you have multiple hierarchy of government jurisdiction. You have at the lowest step you have the towns, municipalities, cities, which have their local policy discussions. Then on the top of it, you have counties, you have MSAs, like basically the metropolitan and the micropolitan statistical areas. And then on top of it, you have the state and the feds and pretty much the Congress and all. So we transcribe those hours of public meetings, we extract key issues, and we turn them into structured civic intelligence. We use speech models, retrieval pipelines, LLMs, because the goal isn't just tech for sake of it. It is to give citizens, people like you, us, the activists, the policymakers, a window into what is being decided and how it affects their communities, and even help these real estate markets and stakeholders, democratizing capital market stakeholders, democratizing structured civic intelligence data for getting alpha on it. Think of it more like a Bloomberg terminal, but for real democracy.
So are you pulling from things like meeting minutes? Where
Exactly.
where
We
do
are
you pull the data from?
So we pull the data from those meeting minutes. We pull the data from different meetings which happen at different levels, which are the recorded meetings. So we transcribe them. We put it through information retrieval pipeline. We put it through like kind of LLMs and get you specific insights like who said what on a pertinent issue. what is being discussed in your local policy democracy around you, and then we give you that information. So that's something which we have built along with minutes PDF. But our major focus is the audio and the video content which is out there, the real data.
That's interesting. I mean, I've heard of other people using AI and transcripts and all that kind of stuff, and we use it ourselves at Centered, but I haven't heard of that application. That's
Yeah,
fascinating because usually if you don't go to the meeting, you don't know what's going on.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, you should check us out. We are live on gathergov. And you can see our website. You can even try our product. And basically, on like the next upcoming July 4th, the Independence Day, we would be doing a full public launch for the whole American democracy. Like, just go get to know what is being discussed around you. You can just search for a location where you are residing, your county, your city, and a specific keyword, which can vary from, let's say, anything which is discussed from, let's say, gun violence to, like, for example, LA fires. You can just get to know what is being discussed, what is the public sentiment in those policy discussions, what is being exactly discussed, and like LLMs can give you more insights on how it was discussed and how it was phrased and everything.
And I can imagine, yeah, there's some individual implications there, but from a lobbyist perspective or those who are concerned with public policy, that becomes really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a powerful tool. Exactly.
I think we glossed over something a little earlier that I want to get back to. You talked about writing a book. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about how would you recommend engineers or those on the more technical side make that shift into thought leadership that you've obviously done.
Yeah, so I just touch upon, like, first of all, what inspired me to write a book, because I was also a tech beginner in the start. The inspiration came from me a very simple gap I used to encounter. Like, most of the technical resources, the system design resources, they used to talk in very abstract diagrams. They used to like really teach me how to actually build and deploy those systems in production for business on AWS. So this was a book I always wanted to write. I wish I had 10 years ago. Not to just think about system design, but to actually ship it, scale it, and run it in production for the business, for the enterprise. And that's what the book does. The book talks about real world use cases, like building an online game leaderboarding system, or real time alerting or notification platforms, or even a video streaming platform like a Facebook, YouTube, all those things, and walks you how to actually architect and deploy them on the cloud from MVP to hyperscale. So that answers the first part of the question. I mean, if I have to actually kind of give some advice to the engineers, to the builders to become the thought leaders, I would rather say there are a few tips I would just call out. One is, um, specifically, learn and be curious, like, and be curious enough to build, scale, and break the systems around you, and ensure that you teach them, like someone one step behind you who is 10 years behind would find it as a goal. Pretty much like I wrote a book about what I have built so far. So I was curious enough. I went ahead, I learned, I built, and I whatever I did, whatever I am preaching right now, I did in practice, and then went ahead and taught it through my book. That's one. The second thing is, always keep on documenting, always keep on analyzing, in terms of always keep on having a plan about what you are building, where you are going, how it's going through. Because having that clarity is having like a small superpower. Like, if you are clear on what problems you are solving, because this brings me back to the first question. Like, we are very clear on, like, what we are building with GatherGov. We are focusing on the point that all politics is local, and that bringing that local politics to everybody's, to democratize that local politics intelligence is what we are doing. So having that clarity should be there. And lastly, the major point, major, I would say, advice I would give is, speak from scars, not from slides. So people relate to, like, everybody, I believe, whoever whom you wanna, influence, or kind of basically discuss, or kind of mentor, or any witness, or people, they relate to the lessons which are learned through pain. The pain of building, the pain of learning, the pain of thinking and analyzing and then planning it out. It's not from the polished success. And if you see, like, from my journey, it's, as Preston, you called out, it's a whirlwind of all the things, all the lessons I've learned through while going through the pain of these, navigating through these three different continents and working in these interesting scale of journey, from like different scale, from 0 to 1 at Y Combinator, startup Good Health app, and tertiary group, then 1 to 10 at delivery, which was a unicorn. I also worked at SAP Germany, SAP US, which was 10 to 100 plus. Learned over there. There was a suffering of learning. And then before that, there was 1,000 plus at a fan company like Amazon. So speak from those scars, learn from those scars, and not from slides. Yeah. Thought leadership, in my view, is not about being right. It's about being real, real with those scars, those learnings.
I like that. I think too many people try to approach thought leadership from, I know all the things to do because I'm always right, to your point. And we enjoy hearing from people who can say, yeah, I messed up. I messed up big. Here's the scar. Here's what I learned from it. One thing that I like to say is that you don't learn from success, really. I mean, if you're successful, you might not know why you're successful.
Failures. Yeah, exactly. You learn from your failures, other failures. You imbibe them, and you make sure that you don't repeat the same mistake. You actually kind of go ahead with more focused direction and everything. So yeah. And for that, you also need to document, you need to analyze what went wrong and what is the right thing to do.
So let's take this a step further and let's say, hey, you're learning and you're making some mistakes, but you're doing this in a team environment. So how do you keep people motivated when you are learning, when it's really complex, when it's a long timeline and you're going to make some mistakes? How do you keep teams motivated?
So the way to make teams motivated is by giving them the bigger picture, like keeping them focused about the end goal, the holy grail, the point where we want to reach, the grand vision. And for us in TSG, in Gatherlaw, we actually have a grand vision that at the end of the day, everybody who is not even attending the meetings, who doesn't know what is happening, local policy discussions around them, like across different meetings, they don't have time. They are the intelligence, the information is democratized enough for them to actually get to know what is happening, what is being discussed in there, and they can somehow kind of use that information to participate in kind of not just like abstract way, but more like physically, or through like deciding the next leaders, or through driving the conversations on different platforms and social media. So that's like having that unfixed goal and bringing that goal to the whole team, making them motivated through that common cause. There is a saying that, a war, like in a war, a commander can keep the whole army motivated with the common goal of just winning the war. And the best teams are actually formed in those war-like situations. When you are in a startup or when you are launching a new product, there is a constant pressure. I mean, if you read some of the books, if you remember, like, there is a saying that as well, which is like, keep them in the dark, give them the light, and the light has to be very focused, and keep them in the dark. Keep your developers, keep your team in the dark about everything else, and give them the light of what is coming out. I think yeah, that's from one of a very interesting book I read way back, and I do feel that like a common goal kind of unites the people, keep them motivated.
That just before we wrap up, that reminds me of a book from Daniel Pink called Drive. And he talks about the need to have purpose, autonomy, and mastery. And just as you were talking, I heard you talking about purpose a lot, but then I heard you talking about some autonomy. It's democratizing things, information, allowing people to make decisions, allowing people to take part. So as we wrap up today, Jant, I'd love to hear any final key thoughts, any takeaways that you would like to leave with our listeners.
So a final takeaway I would say is, building systems is difficult. It's elegant. It's a rewarding process. I see software engineering and system building as not as a I would say a labor, but more as a disciplined art, and that can't be done in solo. You really called out that has to be done as a team. That has to be done in unison with keeping all your folks motivated. I mean, that book which I was referring to, it was like the soul of a new machine. It's like, and that does discuss that new machine is basically that new system, and that's by Tracy Grader. Yeah, and that does discuss about those era where people were trying to come up with new computers stuff and all that. But it specifically calls about a very specific style of management, which is mushroom management. I won't go into those details, but my overall takeaway is basically is that it has to be somewhere between having a transparent, democratized leadership plus having a bit of focused management with a culture of trust and collaboration, and then focusing on a common goal. So that is what I'm gonna give as a takeaway. If as a leader you want to build systems in these small startups and want to scale it up.
That's wonderful, Jan. Thank you so much for your insights. As we close up, where can people connect with you if they want to continue the conversation, if they want to talk to you more about what you're doing at Turtle Street Group?
Yeah, so it's very simple. You have my initials, the first three letters of my first name, and a short form of my last name. Instead of Kumar, call it KMR, the alternate characters. So jaykmr.com. You go to there, you find me, you get all the following links. You can follow me on LinkedIn, you can follow me on Twitter, you can follow me, you can shoot me an email, you can get mentorship guidance. You can check out my book, System Design on AWS. You can reach out to what we are building on Turtle Street Group as our first product, GatherGolf, and you can be updated with my news day to day basis, like what I'm up to these days.
Jan, that's great. Thank you again for such a good conversation. And we're grateful that we've had you on and we've been able to get your thoughts.
Thanks, Preston. Thanks for your time.
And for everybody else who's listening in, thank you for joining us until the end. And if you found some value today, please leave a rating and a review wherever you're listening to the podcast. And please share it with other people. If you know somebody who might benefit from Jan's perspective on SaaS systems and system design, please reach out and let us know and leave some comments. Final thing, remember to take one actionable insight today. Go apply it and let us know how it goes. We love to hear people's progress. So thanks again, and we will see you next time on Breakthrough Innovation.